Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for Journaling on a Budget, Memory Lane. So today is the first time that I have touched this journal in over a year. I started the first 3 videos in November of 2020, and then I had to put it aside because I just couldn't work on it. And so when I decided it was time to restart it, I put up those first 3 videos, and you've seen those in the first 3 weeks of this series. So I was very afraid over this last week, knowing that I was going to have to do this video. I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to start it. And last night, knowing I had to do it today, I had all these ideas running through my head, and I kind of figured I was going to start on the page for the candy store. I had a lot of ideas, and it's like, great. I've got all these ideas. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be able to work through this book. And I came in here this morning and started getting things set up to do the candy page. And then I lost the town for our map. And I looked and I looked and I looked and I could not find it. I have a box, a tiered box with little boxes and drawers and everything in here and file folders, and I finally found it. I marked it now, houses, because the houses are left in here. It was in this envelope. So, but in looking through everything, I saw lots of different things I had put aside for this journal and everything. And I had made all these candies last night in my sleep. And so I really put myself back into the book. So there it is. There's our town. I found it. It was in that envelope, and it's going to get glued in right there. And the stores are going to be some of the pages in our Memory Lane journal. So, but then as I was looking through things, all of a sudden I got an idea in my head. So I'm kind of changing course. It's still going to be Memory Lane, and it's the same journal since we've just started it, but I've decided that I am going to make it into a lap book. So what is a lap book? This is a lap book. This is my own personal lap book. And what it is it's a book with more than one section. And so this one opens this way. In the middle, I have a journal to write in. And then I have pockets and all sorts of things, pockets and tags and, a postcard, things from one of my trips. It has lots of flips, lots of envelopes, lots of places to write things and put things along with the journal. It opens in lots of different ways, but it basically has 2 really main sections. It's got one on one side. It's got the journal in the middle, and then it has another section on the other side. Again, this one's got an envelope, and it has lots and lots of flip-ups and flaps and all different sorts of things. And so this is kind of what we're going to do. It's not going to be exactly like this because it is still going to have pages, which this one kind of doesn't have pages. But basically, the construction of a lap book I put a journal in the middle of mine, but it's going to have a section on each side. And then it's going to have a journal in the middle also. And then this is what we're going to do. So this is mine. And this is going to be the one that we're going to work on. But the thing that got me thinking about that, and all of this probably is doesn't matter to you, but I just wanted to explain because everything is changing a little bit. These are 2 books that I had to work in this journal. I had found these at my local library. They were discontinued. And so I picked them up because I originally started this journal with kind of some ideas from Papa, and Papa loved the circus and Papa loved railroads. And when I saw these there, I grabbed them because they have the most beautiful pictures and everything in them. I just love them. And so as I was looking at them this morning, trying to figure out how was I going to do my cover for the journal itself, and I thought I could use one of these covers for the journal. They're not real thick. It doesn't have to be super thick, but you know, to put different things in it, I thought, I don't think that this is going to be thick enough. So I was thinking, well, and there, I thought I could cut the cover off and make a thicker binding. And then I was looking at the size of them, because these are the pages that we picked for our 2 signatures. And if I use the cover, the front and back cover, and just put a bigger spine, these pages aren't big enough. And I had thought, before I put the papers up here, that what I was going to do was put the papers in and put a little box in the bottom where you could put your pen. So that would take up the space, and it would be, you know, as thick as whatever my journal would be. But I didn't like the fact that these pages did not fit. There's just such a big difference. And I really didn't want to cut off like this much of the cover if I wanted to keep the cover as the cover of the journal. So I decided these pages I'm going to make into my center signature, or my center journal. So these pages will be left plain. I'll make a cover for them, and they will go in the center. And this lap book is going to be these 2 covers. They will open up. There will be a journal in the middle. And then they'll open up like this. And they'll open up like this. And like this. So today what we're going to do is we're going to make the cover for this journal. Because you really need the cover made to work on your pages. But what are we going to do for pages? So I decided when I was looking at these, it was like, oh yeah, I have a lot of legal size paper that I have dyed. So put this aside so I don't lose them, because I do want those as my center journal. I went ahead and I pulled out, because we had 6 pieces of paper there. We need 6 pieces here, 3 for each journal. And instead of folding them small enough to put in a normal size journal and then folding the extra back to make a pocket, I'm going to fold them in half. So I have chosen kind of a pink and a yellow and a tea dyed for 1 signature. And then I have this green with pink, which this is my favorite. This was paint water, and it had sat, and I poured it into a basin, and I started dyeing my papers, and as they started to dry, the pink settled separately from the green. Those must have been 2 colors that I had been painting with. And so I just love this. I have quite a few like papers that are dyed like this, and I love them. So I chose this one that's kind of green and pink. I chose this one that is kind of an ombre color. Again, this is paint water, and it settled the way it wanted to settle. And then I have one that is an orangish color. And this one is, I think this is Kool-Aid dyed with flower patterns on them. So I am going to use these as my signatures in each side. So there will be 1 signature over here, and I might have to trim them down a little bit. They might be just a touch wide. And then I am going to put 1 signature over here. Now on the other one, I really went through and I picked like, oh, I really like this or that for whatever part of the book I'm doing. I didn't worry about it so much, because after I got to thinking about that, it's like, you know, these really get pretty much covered. So if I have a really pretty leaf pattern in the background, because they're going to be used as a signature page, it's not going to show up anyways. So this one does actually have a very pretty leaf pattern on it, and this one has a lace doily pattern on it, but we're not going to see those. So it was more the color sections that I wanted to put together. I liked these 3 colors together, except that the green one I wanted in the middle. So I thought that these 3 color sections were really pretty together, and I thought that these 3 looked really nice together too. So that's how I put my signatures together this time. So these are going to be our signatures, and there's going to be 1 on each side. So I'm going to show you how we're going to start by constructing the base of our lap book. I'm going to stick these aside so I don't lose them. So, and then I have this box. This was a box that I picked up a plaque in. It had a black plaque that I needed for some of my artwork, and it's very thin, but it's almost the perfect width of our book. So it's a little bit big, but I do want to flap over the top, so it's going to be, I think, just the right depth of the book this way to just kind of hold the bottom of it solid. Now, you don't have to do that, because you know, my lap book here has no problem. But the reason I thought of it with this one is because my pages are so short that there would be like a gap, either a gap at the top and the bottom, or a large gap at the top or the bottom. And, you know, I just wanted that to be filled in. So this way I can go ahead and put my pages in here and put this little box at the bottom. I'm going to put one on each side so you can put a pen or a pencil in there, because I just thought that would be cool, because then, and with the flap on it, the pen or pencil won't fall out. Then you'll have it with you at all times. And I like that idea. So originally I had my books laid out this way, and I thought I really didn't like this, like for the center of the book. And I thought this would be a nice front, but, you know, and then that would be the back. But I decided to do it this way, because the front, I think I want to cover. So even though this would have been a nice front, I think I would have covered it. So, and I haven't decided 100%, but I do believe that these two I am going to leave just as they are. We'll find out as we go, but for now I am going to leave them, and we're going to build a spine. First thing we're going to do is we're going to remove, and I do want it so that when we open the lap book, that this page stays with the cover. I don't want to cut that page out if I can at all help it. So, and when you look for a book that you want to gut, if you look at it and you can see this, whoops, kind of ripped on that, but it doesn't matter because we'll fix it. If you see this gap, then you know that all of these pages aren't glued right to the spine. So you'll be able to remove these. So I want to make sure that I don't cut out those fly sheets or whatever they call them. And see, I need to grab of course, I need to grab a knife here because I forgot to grab one. And I shoved it down in the pencil holder and couldn't get it. All right, so let me see if just kind of trying to see how I can do this without cutting those off. If I have to, I'll tape it back in. I'm gonna try. Oh, I think that I keep breaking that. I may wind up having to cover those ends. I think those are gonna cut out when I cut out that. They are going to come out. And I'm not gonna be able to keep them in there. So I'm going to just carefully cut. I'm going to cut right down the spine here. And because I really want to be careful as to not ruin that, I'm just trying to be really careful here. Be careful what you're doing with your knife. Make sure it's not going to cut you. And try not to cut through your back spine. And we can reinforce those. And once you get the front one out, the back one is much easier, because then the pages come away from that spine. And depending on how careful you want to be, I'll lay that on my lamp there, you know, because I want to save both sides of this, I really don't want to accidentally like rip over into those pages. And if I cut off the spine on accident, I can just go ahead and tape it back on. There we go. So there's our spine. And there's the front part of our book. So now, set that down. So here's the back part of our book. And see, now we've got this away from the spine. We can just hold it like this. Just can't do that because sometimes those are actually attached to the back, but this is the back of the first signature because this book has signatures in it. Watch your fingers. And this spine is very, very thin. So we're definitely going to have to reinforce that when we get a chance. Just carefully cutting between the book and the cover. Okay, I'm going to turn it this way now. There we go. Alrighty. So there we go. There is our front section. And I'm going to set this aside, but remembering that I need to cut these out carefully so that I can put them back in there. And we're going to do this one. And I know that this takes, oh, this one looks like it's separated a little bit nicer. We've got a bigger gap there, so this one might go easier. Ooh, yeah. That was really easy. Okay, let's open this up. But I used to have the ability to start and stop and start and stop, and I used to add my videos together, but I'm not sure exactly what's going on with my internet, but we live in the country, so we have terrible internet anyways. And I just can't do things as easily as I used to be able to do them. So I used to be able to have longer videos also, and they would upload. Now if they're too long, they just won't upload. Okay, so we're going to set our papers aside. And the thing is that inside these books, we've got lots of really cool pictures that we can use for different bits on our circus page and on our train page. And look at those. Those are really cool. So we can make little tags or journaling cards, that type of thing with those. Okay, so now we have, this is our lap book, just like that, and it's going to open up like that, and it's going to open up like that. So we don't want our back spine to be much larger than our front, but we do need it to be a little bit bigger because we are going to add our journal between the two of them, our writing journal. So I'm going to just leave a gap of maybe about 1/4 inch there. And so then the spine for the back is going to need to be 2 1/4 inches. 2 1/4, maybe 2 1/8. I don't want it to be too big. Okay, so if I have the spine itself 2 1/8 inches, yeah, because these books are each a little less than, this one is almost 1 inch. Okay, 2 1/8, but then I need to have part of the spine to glue to here. So I'll do a 1/2 inch for there, 1/2 inch for here, and 1/2 inch for here. So we need 3 1/8 inches. So I have, this is corrugated cardboard. Now I buy this at my recycle center. And I used to get them for 35 cents. But then they changed it to, now it's, I think, 50 cents. I already cut it to the height of the book. I want my spine to be just the height of the book. So we were 2 1/8 plus 1 inch is 3 1/8 inches. And the reason that I chose corrugated cardboard, and you can use any, anything that you'd like for your spine, but I like the way that corrugated cardboard moves for a spine. So we are going to go 3 1/8 inches. So I'm just going to line up my ruler and mark it at 3 1/8. And whenever I do a mark, whenever I have to draw a line, 3 1/8, I use 3 marks. And I use 3 marks so that if one of them is off a little bit, then it's usually noticeable so that you know your line's straight. And 3 1/8, because if I were to make this one 3 1/4 on accident, then, and I lined it up with the top one and the bottom one, I may not notice that that's off by just 1/8 of an inch. But if I have all 3 marks on there, and one of them is off by 1/8 of an inch, you're going to notice it. So those are my marks right there. Now I know my line will be straight. And so I'm just going to cut right on that line. Flip this over. There we go. The reason I'm doing that is because it's right in this line of corrugation. So I'm going to just follow that line instead. I should have put my glasses on today. Okay, so there we go. Now that is going to be our spine. Got our books here. And this is going to fit here with a 1/2 inch on each side. Now what I want to do is I want to put some fabric on here to make it even stronger. And so I just have a piece of cotton. This is off of a curtain. I like it to stick out just a little bit all the way around. So I already cut it to how long I thought it needed to be. So it's going to stick out a little bit at the top and the bottom. So I've put a little bit over this edge. So I'm going to put a little snip right about there. Okay. I like to rip it because I like the little frayed edges to stick out on my cardboard. Okay, so there we go. And then we're going to glue this on here. I'm going to give that a little bit of a tug. Because it's ripped, it should be straight. And then I'm going to glue that right on there. So I'm going to put some glue on here. And I'm debating, do I want to use Fabri-Tac or tacky glue? And I think for this part, I'm going to use the Fabri-Tac. It's not quite as wet. It dries a little bit quicker. And I need a spreader. Okay, so I'm going to put the glue on my cardboard, and then I'm going to turn the cardboard over and line it up with my fabric, since I know I've got them the way that I want them. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is put the glue in the middle, and then get the edges right up to the edge, because I definitely want it glued really well on the edges. And this dries really quite fast, so you do kind of want to move kind of fast. Okay, get that on there. So I'm sticking out the edge, so I'm going to wipe that off right away. And then I'm going to flip this over. and just kind of press it down. I've got the strings I pulled off on here. This you're going to see in the book, but it's going to be covered, so that's okay. And when you use a thin fabric, that does happen as far as the glue comes through the fabric, no matter which one you use. Whether you use tacky glue or Fabri-Tac, it still comes through. Okay. Sorry about that. I just needed to get that glue off the top of there. Alrighty, so this is now our spine. And it's straight at the bottom, but it is not straight at the top. Because I'm going to put it on my book now, I want that to be straight, so I'm going to straighten it up. And make it about 1/8 of an inch from the spine on the bottom, because you really don't want the top and the bottom too long, especially the bottom, because your book's going to sit on that a lot. So then we'll just pull a few threads. There we go. And if your threads get stuck and you just can't get them, pull them straight and then just trim them up with the edge of all the other threads. Like that. So, and then the top. Okay, that's a little short. Don't care for how short that is. I'm going to leave the top just how it is for now. Make a decision on that at another time. If you don't know, if you look at something and think, do I want it like that? Do I not? Then just leave it. And then come back to it again later. All right, so now what I'm going to do is, let's see. How is our book going? This is the front cover. Okay, this is the way our book is going to be. This is our spine back here. So our spine's going to be hooked on the outside here and here. So it's going to be here and here. Something's, yeah, that's the front cover. Okay. I was looking at it thinking it was a back cover. Okay, I'm putting a mark on there so that as I go to do my measurements, I know I'm doing it in the right spot. Okay, so there's our lap book, and our spine's going to go here, so I need to wrap it around this way. So that's here and here. Okay, so I do have my marks. I think we added an extra 1/2 inch on each side. So let's make a 1/2 inch mark. Need to put it where I'm going to be able to see it. And I'm lining up with the 1 inch on the edge of the book and then coming into a 1/2 inch this way. Double checking. Yeah. So now I'm going to draw a line on here. All right, that's where the first part of our spine is going to go. I really don't like how short I cut that on the bottom. All right, I don't like how short that is on the bottom. I really, really don't like that. So I'm going to cut it off completely. Make sure it's straight across. All right, cut that off completely, and then I'm going to put another piece on there. Right here. Okay, is that the right width? Yep. I'm going to cut it up about an inch. There. Flip this over. There we go. Much better. Alrighty, so now I'm going to line up, and I want to line up my cardboard with that line. And I am going to put some fabric tack to give it a really quick grab. And I am going to put some tacky glue to give it a better adhesion, because I trust the tacky glue more to stay glued, and the fabric tack to grab a hold of it. So I'm going to kind of fold my fabric back, line it up there, line it up there. Look at the back and see if I feel like that's even. It does look like that's pretty even. Give it a really good press. The fabric tack will grab. And then we have to let the tacky glue dry. And then the tacky glue is going to hold that together really, really well. So now that one is there. Set that aside for just a second. And we'll put our line on here. So I hope that you like this idea. I just thought that it would be a really good idea to do it as a lap book. And lap books are fun to do. This is going to almost be a cross between a lap book and a journal. Because I think, because I don't know that I'm going to do quite as many flips and flaps. But then again, we just might. Half an inch, half an inch, half an inch. Draw a line there. That's going to be that's going to be the where this goes. All right, so set that over there for a second. I got a couple pieces of string on that, so I'm going to take those off. Okay, so again, we're going to put some fabric tack. I do this a lot of times too with double-sided sticky tape. If I'm using like double-sided sticky tape from the store that I'm not 100% positive is going to hold for a long time, because this is a spine, I want it to hold. I'm going a little bit on the edge and a little bit out here right on the line. So don't put your wet glue on top of the Fabri-Tac because that defeats the purpose. Because you want that Fabri-Tac to grab. Alrighty, so that one. So it goes like this. Yep, it goes like that. I'm just trying to figure out how to do this with the room that I have here. Okay, now I want to line it up with that line, so I want to be able to see it. Hold the fabric back a little bit. I believe that's right there. Okay, and now before it gets too dry, I am going to stand it up to make sure that they seem to be even. I can't really fold them in yet, but I want to make sure that they both seem to be standing on the bottom. Whoops. Stepped on the kitty's tail. Hello, kitty. Okay, so that looks really good. Looks like it's lined up really well. So this is now our inside of our spine. Give that a really good press. Okay. I think that looks pretty good. Now, we're not going to do it right this second, but we are going to cover this up. But we're gonna cover that up so that we can take our little journal and put it in there like that. And the way that I do that is we're going to build a spine and we're going to put 2 eyelets in it so that we can put an elastic string down the back, out this hole, and, you know, through that hole, and then hook it in the back. So that elastic string, we can take this journal and tuck it under that elastic string like that. And then when we're done with that journal, sometimes I might use a journal for one trip and take it out. Other times I may use a journal for a long time, you know, and just date it or whatever. And so it's going to stay in there. But we want that elastic bit there so that we can put them in and take them out over and over if we want to. Or sometimes if I'm going on a trip, I'll take the journal out and write in it at night. And instead of having the whole lap book to open up, I just take the journal when I go to bed at night, and then I'll write it in at night, put it back in the morning in case I'm going somewhere and I want to write in it during the day. So that elastic comes in really handy, but we're going to let all of this dry really well. And then we'll kind of round our spine, and we're going to have to reinforce these spines because they are very thin, and so that we don't forget, I want this page that goes against here. Not so worried about the one that goes here because that we're going to be gluing stuff to there, but this one I want to stay. So we're going to try and carefully take this one out. Maybe I should cut it, even though I'm not 100% sure of how I want to hook it back in. I want to make sure I don't accidentally use it for something else or whatever. Make sure that you step off to the side when you're cutting so you don't pull that knife into yourself. That thing just does not want to cooperate. There. Okay, so I'm going to hook this one back in here like that. And then we'll cover this up with something. So that was that one, and then the other one is here. Goes with our Barnum and Bailey one. So So I'm going to take that one off. This one is going to be mostly covered because our map is going to glue on there. But I like, we'll still be able to see part of it. And so that one is going to go there. And that is where our map will go. Our map is going to glue right on here. I'll shut this one. Put that one over there. All right, so we've got our two covers. And we open it up. And then when we open this one up, it'll be like that. And then this one is going to, whoops. I have so much stuff piled up around here. There, this one's gonna open up like that. And then our map will be glued onto there and our map will open just like this. So, and while we're at it, I think we'll work on the map on another day. I was going to glue that in so I don't lose it again, but so long as I leave it in the map, keep that put away, I think we'll be just fine. So, and then this will take off. And if I can take it off nicely, it's kind of fun because it says American Heritage, Great Days of the Circus. So it can be used as a pocket on the circus page. There we go. So I'll put that with my other bits so that I don't forget that I've got it. And that's okay that that looks like that because, again, that's where our map is going to go. So our map will be here because we're going to have our pencil box down here, although the pencil box will be on this cover so that when it shuts, I might actually have to cut this bottom piece off. I will. The next thing we're going to do will be the boxes because we need to put the little box on here so that we know not to bring any pages down further than that area. See, these pages, these are the whatchamacalls, but see, they're only going to come down this far. So our box is going to come up to here. So this part of the bottom of this page will have to come out. And our map I'm going to put over to the edge so that you still see part of this with this. So, and then there's Walton Erickson Public Library. That's the library that the books came from. So I'm not even going to try and take that out because that's kind of cool. It shows where they came from. And so that is how far we are. Whoops. See, we're letting loose here on the back because of me doing that. So make sure, put the map away. Okay. So there we go. Now, once this is dry, we've got a little bit of a problem here because I actually did move it here. Slide that back over. There. Like that and like that. Make sure that it's still okay this way. Yep. I'm going to kind of give it a quick measure this way to make sure it's pretty close. So that is 1 3/4 and a 1/16. Down here, it's 2. So we are off a little bit. I'll flip it over and see if I can tell which one is off. Okay. So this part needs to move over just a little bit. And then actually, since I kind of peeled those off, I'll be checking them shortly. And if they're not super solid, I'll peel one side, peel that side off that side might be loose. 1 3/4 and a 1/16. 1 3/4 and 1/16. Okay, so there we go. They're lined up. So now what I need to do is I need to grab a couple of heavy books and set them right on there. And then I'm going to let that sit and let it dry really good. And then I will be back next week, and we will put the little boxes on the bottom, and maybe we'll put the center spine in also. So maybe that's what we'll do next week. We'll just see, because we're winging it. We're going to play it by ear and just do it as to, you know, whatever seems like the thing to do that week. Thank you very much for stopping by. I really do appreciate you. Thank you to all of those who asked if I was ever going to finish this journal or restart it, because I'm very happy about it. So I'm very glad that we're doing this. Thanks again. Watch a commercial if you get a chance. I really do appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.